no testimony will be taken. This public hearing is being broadcast live on AACPS TV, which can be found on Channel 96 on Comcast and Broadstripe, and Channel 36 on Verizon. High-definition broadcasts can be seen on Channel 996 on Comcast, Channel 496 on Broadstripe, and Channel 1961 on Verizon. This meeting can also be viewed live on AACPS YouTube channel, www.aacps.org/YouTube. I will call speakers in order that they have signed up. If a speaker is unavailable at the time that I announce their name, I will move them to the bottom of the list and call them at the end of the hearing. Each speaker is allotted 2 minutes. The yellow light below me will shine when you have 30 seconds left. The red light will shine when you hear a tone when your time has expired. If you are unable to deliver your full 2 minutes to the board, you may email your comments to the board office at boardoffice@aacps.org. Speakers who speak tonight may not sign up to speak at the board's second budget hearing scheduled for Thursday, January 13th at Old Mill High School. Again, thank you for joining us. So I believe we will hear our virtual testimony first, and Mr. Silkworth will begin that process.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our virtual testimony for our Board of Education budget hearing. Our first speaker this evening is Lisa Van Buskirk.
Good evening, Board of Education. Lisa Van Buskirk with Start School Later, Anne Arundel County. I appreciate that Dr. Alato has requested more transportation funding in his proposed budget, but I do have a few questions. How do the increased budget items address the remaining prismatic services recommendations from their report released 2 years ago this week? For instance, can money for a GPS-based notification system be added? If we cannot immediately solve the bus driver shortage, even with the proposed increases in bus driver pay, how can we do a better job of communicating with our community about those missing buses? The County Council passed legislation 2 years ago this month to allow a stop arm camera system. The stop arm system was supposed to place GPS transponders on each bus, which are to be connected to a notification system in addition to catching traffic violations. What is the status of that joint program with the police department? Does it need additional AACPS funding? I applaud the proposed purchase of 8 vans to provide better tailored service to non-public placement as permitted by new regulations that should be approved by the state board later this month. How many buses do those 8 vans replace? Can those buses be repurposed to offset the prismatic services recommendation that our current bus fleet is inadequate for our total student ridership load? Therefore, does AACPS need fewer than the 32 more contracted buses included in Dr. Alato's budget? What is the status of the research in developing an opt-in, opt-out system for next year to hopefully eliminate the need for some of those numbers of buses based on better ridership load data? In order to hire a quality replacement for departing Transportation Director Les Douglas, do you need to add money to the budget to hire someone with an engineering, transportation, or logistics degree instead of someone with an education degree who happens to have some transportation experience as required by the job posting, which closes in 2 days? This is what Mr. Douglas said, and I will have to say that it does not appear that a similar education background, transportation, or leadership experience is what ACPS needs in the future. We need a transportation director in FY2023 to finally implement the Xeon software from 2015, implement the new bus routes from Prismatic, address bus driver shortages, and the outstanding recommendations from Prismatic's report, in addition to implementing the proposed FY2023 transportation budget. Can the salary range and educational requirements be broadened to get the best qualified person to implement the proposed budget? Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Joyce Turkson. It does not appear that she is online, so we'll move to our next speaker. And if need be, we can get back to Ms. Turkson if she appears. Our next speaker is Janet Norman.
Yes, hello. Thank you for taking my testimony. This is Janet Norman. I'm the parent of 2 AACP Annapolis High graduates. I'm the previous PTA president of Annapolis High, and I am an appointed member of the City of Annapolis Education Commission. And I'd like to talk to you today about a budget request that the Annapolis High PTSA has put in for the last 2 years in a row. We have requested and recommended to you for the funding of an additional social worker at Annapolis High, and that request has not been fulfilled. As you might know, Annapolis High is one of your schools of greater than 50% farms population, the largest ELL, ESOL, English language learners in the county. And we are the school of opportunity gaps that you write documents about. So we're asking you to put that into practice. Bates Middle and Annapolis Middle, both for 3 grades, have 1 social worker. And then all those students funnel into Annapolis High, 2,200 students from low-income families and disadvantaged backgrounds. And they come to Annapolis High with 1 social worker. So I'm asking you to fix that situation, please. The county is already paying this money to fix conflicts like this. You can either choose to pay it in a social worker, or you can choose to pay it in police overtime for 17 officers to respond to the school. So I'm asking you to put the money where it would do the most good. Annapolis PTA had a presentation about the restorative justice practices that our social worker uses in conjunction with the guidance counselors and the students in conflict. So 2 guidance counselors, each student in conflict, and it's a lengthy process. And so you can see for each counselor having a caseload of 320 more students that they're responsible for all these things. We do not have enough social
Time has expired.
to address the problem. So please take care of that. And all means all, close our opportunity gap. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Randall Jubb.
Am I up? I was, okay, thank you guys. Dr. Tobin and the school board members, thank you for allowing me to speak to you this evening. My name is Randy Jubb. I'm the owner of Jubb Bus Service Incorporated and Wilson Bus Service Incorporated, 2 school bus companies that operate under the Anne Arundel County Public Schools contracts. My family has been in the school bus business since 1927. As you know, our county, state, and the entire country is facing a severe driver shortage. School bus contractors of Anne Arundel County and our drivers and attendants are extremely grateful for the retention and signing bonuses they received this year through the grant from the County Workforce Development Corporation. We work closely with the Workforce Development and the County Executive Pittman's office on this. We went so far as to hand deliver checks to our bus lots to make sure our drivers and attendants receive their bonuses before the holidays. Now that the driver and attendant bonuses for this year are in place, we have to look forward to the subsequent years to ensure that the pay raises and bonuses that effectively put in place are maintained. They are working. We are short with fewer and fewer drivers as a result, but we can't go back to where we were previously. We contractors know the board, the school board, Dr. Arlotto, have been paying close attention and to examining ways to address this driver shortage as well. And we thank you. We are grateful for the 10% COLA increase for drivers included in the proposed budget. But we are concerned, given that this will not equate to the pay increase that they received this school year through the Workforce Development Grant process. So I'm here today to underscore the importance of our industry and the men and women who safely transport our school kids to school every day, and ask to provide with us the level of funding needed to ensure our drivers and assistants do not take what will effectively be a pay cut next year. It is imperative the pay raises they receive through the workforce development grant bonuses are reflected equally in compensation next year and years thereafter. I do also want to take the opportunity tonight to express concern about the proposed implementation of the prismatic plan to add 35 new buses. We are
Your time
already
has
struggling
expired.
to ensure we have enough drivers to cover our current runs, and the creation of additional runs will very likely add to this existing hardship. We contractors want to be sure you're aware of our concerns regarding the prismatic plan. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Want to go back and check and see if Joyce Turkson is online. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that does conclude our virtual testimony. And thank you so much. We'll be moving on to our face-to-face testimony. Thank you.
Thank you. So I believe we have one person signed up for in-person testimony, Mr. Russell Leone. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Russell Leone, he, him, his. I'm an elementary school teacher and president of the Teachers Association of Anne Arundel County. First, I want to again acknowledge the historic decision made last night to ratify our Unit 1 contract, which included addressing the decade-old salary issue that loomed over so many of our colleagues for so long. So thank you to everyone who played a role in supporting this and made this multi-year effort to become a reality. This action truly shows our Unit 1 members the respect they deserve for their loyalty to AACPS. And I truly believe it's an important piece of retaining some of the best educators that I've had the privilege of knowing and working alongside. So putting these past challenges behind us, we can now look toward a brighter and more transparent future. I hope we can agree to hopefully bargain more openly during upcoming sessions to include conversations between the full Board of Education and the TAC Board of Directors, so we can fully partnership in our collective efforts. And I want to thank Dr. Arlotto for proposing a budget that will address many of the needs of our students and our staff that they have in order to experience and provide a high-quality education. It's clear that Dr. Arlotto has taken into account some of the future demands that the blueprint for Maryland's future will have on education for years to come. There are many timelines that will need to be met, and I remember walking in 2019 alongside some of you currently sitting on this board in the March for Our Schools as we advocated for the support of the passage of the blueprint. And I think about our young and new educators and how raising the starting salary will greatly change their ability to provide for themselves and how it will help AACPS recruit a new generation of amazing educators. This is the perfect time to remind ourselves that this is a collective goal we must work together toward. It also connects with the 4% COLA request that Dr. Arlotto has included. This will benefit our entire staff. It will not only help our early career educators, but also our colleagues at the top of the scale. However, with CPI at 6%, an increase of an ask to 5% would move us closer to helping to keep up with inflation. I also ask that we work toward contracts that extend beyond 1 year so we can provide security to our employees that they have consistency that allows them to plan longer term. As you look at the budget, please examine positions like teaching assistants, TSA, special educators, ELL, and related service providers because they all contribute to the success of our students. With these and other much needed positions either not provided or left vacant, there's a strain on the workload of those who are left in those locations. And finally, I must circle back and say again, thank you for the work you've done to take care of Unit 1 educators. We also support our colleagues and our fellow unions, especially AEL, SAAC, and AFSCME, because we must acknowledge that the blueprint does not include these groups enough. It's time that we look at how can we help those groups as well as our Unit 1 employees. I look forward to further conversations through this budget process with you. Thank you so much.
I believe that concludes our testimony for tonight. All right, thank you very much. Good night, everyone.
Could have gone longer if you wanted.